So it's official. Elon Musk bought the social media platform Twitter for 44 billion US dollars. You probably already remember Musk being in talks with Twitter for a while, and him buying 9% of the company and becoming the largest shareholder for a bit. But now it's official. He is the owner of the company, no discussion. At first, the execs were like reluctant to the takeover, but after reportedly being pressured by the shareholders, they finally struck a deal. So the takeover is like expected to happen at the end of this year. It can be delayed to the start of 2023. It's gonna depend on the circumstances and how smoothly the takeover will go, but it's gonna happen. That's official. So, like, what does this mean for Twitter and internet as a whole? That was my first question when it popped, when this article popped up on my screen, because it's definitely going to have an effect on, Twitter for sure. I mean, that's logical, but it's also going to have an effect on the internet, and that's something I'm going to explain further in the video. But first, I just want to talk about like what happened actually. So, Elon, he's pretty famous for like portraying himself as a quirky, geeky billionaire who enjoys like shitposting on the internet as much as you and I do. But I have my doubts. I'm not really the biggest fan of him, but I've got to admit, this is quite impressive. So like, if you're one of the few viewers of the channel, I hope you're smart enough to realize that Musk is still a billionaire. He will still try to maximize his profits, and this takeover probably goes beyond memery. He's gonna, it's $44 billion. He's gonna take this with a smart approach. He's gonna see what he can do with Twitter and how he can, he can see how trends are created, how data is used, how this can help him market more, and this can help him, be bigger in the social media game, even though he's already huge. This can really help him on the marketing department of his companies. So for all the epic Reddit chungus wholesome people just eagerly waiting for Elon to make Twitter based, epic, and wholesome, you'll probably be waiting for a long time, because I don't think Elon is gonna fundamentally change that much that quickly. So I'm a free speech advocate, and I think free speech both off and online is extremely important. And I don't give a shit about the whole, oh, but it's a privately owned company, they can censor what they want philosophy. People should be able to express their thoughts. Why am I mentioning this? Because Elon, in a tweet, mentioned he wants to make Twitter, free speech. He wants to make it a free speech platform where everybody can express their opinions, and it's going to be utopia, and it's going to be awesome. But is Twitter going to be an absolute free speech haven? Probably not. Twitter's not going to become a new poll or whatever shitposting board there is out there. There's still boundaries when it comes to these big sites like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. They still have boundaries. Remember, the EU, or organizations like the EU, have some limits on when it comes to free speech on the internet. They also, the US, they have close to absolute free speech, but the EU and some other regions in the world aren't like that. You can't go out and scream whatever you want. There's still some boundaries. Musk is probably going to have to follow those boundaries if he wants to have his European users still, use the platform. And I'm pretty sure he wants to. So I do think Twitter might become less of a shithole, but there's definitely other reasons for buying this platform, that's for sure. He also mentioned in that same tweet he wanted to defeat spam bots, remove ads, authenticate humans, and bring new features to Twitter. And this all sounds pretty nice, but if he wants to remove ads, he's gonna have to find new ways of income, and he's gonna have to find new ways of profit, because we all know that in these sites like Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, I'm really mentioning these three sites a lot, but they're perfect. They're a perfect example for sites that thrive off of ads. Their main profit is off ads. And without ads, they struggle a lot. We can see that with the Facebook recently happening. People are, turning off targeted advertising. For example, Apple users, they almost automatically have targeted advertising off because it's really easy to do so. So, Facebook is suffering because of that, which again shows how dependent they are on ads. But there's also another point Musk brought in this tweet, and it's probably on your screen right now, and it really got me excited because he said he wanted to make the Twitter algorithm open source. And that's something huge. I don't know if people realize, but up until now, we had no real idea how these big tech corporations, their algorithms functioned, how trends got created, how these hashtags got popular, or like shit like how much they use your personal data and how they use it in how they track it and use it in targeted advertising. So I'm not that big of an optimist. He's not gonna fundamentally change the platform, but this open sourcing can be huge. It can be really big. It's gonna be game changing in my opinion. And I might look too excited or too optimistic, but I do think it can bring something new. If you don't know what open source is, it's basically each of these companies has an algorithm where they collect user data to show you what you like. So recommended posts, from accounts you don't follow, they pop up on your feed and you think like, oh, what's this? This is a recommended post. And they recommend you these posts by collecting your data and seeing what you like and on what videos you press and how long you watch those videos. And they can derive your interests. They can see they can like see what your hobbies are, and they gather all this information and they just recommend posts of things you might like. And why do they do this? Is it to improve your experience? Is it to let you enjoy the app more? No. It's so you spend more time on their app, because the more time you spend on their app, the more money they make. So they want to keep you scrolling, and that's why they have these algorithms. It just wants to keep you scrolling by recommending you endless posts. So the open sourcing of these algorithms is, that these algorithms are visible to the public. So people like you and me can go and look at these algorithms, because most of these algorithms right now are closed source, so only the developers in a company and people working with them can see it. And I'm not a big fan of that, but it makes sense for them to do, because Facebook has never really been transparent about it, because they know, Zuckerberg knows that he's using a lot of personal data, and if the public finds out and they have hard evidence, they're gonna start boycotting Facebook. We've already seen it happen with Cambridge Analytica. It's gonna happen again on a bigger extent. So that's why these algorithms are closed source. Now, the open sourcing is gonna be really cool. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I'll definitely keep you guys updated on that. I'm probably gonna look at the algorithm myself a bit, although I'm not, the most enlightened out there. I can understand a bit of code. So I think that's the video. I think we're at like how many minutes? Oh, we're at 8. Okay, so this is still Twitter is still in talks with Elon, but it's basically done. The deal is basically done. As you can see on my screen, regulators are unlikely to block Musk's purchase of Twitter, former officials say. So it's probably gonna go through. It's gonna take something really big to call this off. And I'm just curious on how Twitter will change. So subscribe and like if you like the video. You can comment your opinions, and if you dislike it, well, there's a dislike button. And although you can't see how much dislikes there are for some reason anymore, I will definitely keep it in account. So have a great day and make sure to keep scrolling.